This is Your Life, My Hands. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making one of my favorite lunches that I can possibly make when I'm making something for work. It starts out with the Betty Crocker Suddenly Pasta Salad, in particular the Caesar one. I have found this one tastes great. They do have a bunch of instructions on the back on how to make it. We're going to completely forego that and ignore that in its entirety. But that is going to be the base of what we are starting with. And what we're trying to do today is inspire some Greek flavors in this, and overall try to make it somewhat healthy. At least that's what we're going to try. So this is pretty basic. I mean, it's nothing more than boil your pasta, which we'll do here in a few seconds. The flavoring package that comes in this is some breadcrumbs and other Caesar-inspired flavors. And they call for like a quarter cup of olive oil, which is what we put in there. I added a couple tablespoons of whole milk, and I think that works out quite well. But to inspire the Greek flavors, we're going to try some tzatziki-style sauce to make this a creamy pasta salad, and it's going to be able to be enjoyed very easily cold. I'm starting out with like about a half a cup of a tzatziki sauce. This stuff is great. It's going to add a nice cucumber flavor, garlic and dill forward kind of flavors, and that's all the kind of stuff that we're shooting for here with this. So about a half a cup of this stuff in there. I will admit, after reviewing the footage for this, the fact that my arm is in the way is not really great for a cooking show, but bear with me. Not like you need to see everything going on in there. We're mixing up some tzatziki sauce and the flavor packet and some oil that came with the pasta. Make sure all that is pretty well incorporated. The oil is going to blend very nicely with the tzatziki yogurt base and whatever other flavors came in that flavor packet. So we're going to give it a little taste test. It tastes amazing just as it is because it's like Caesar dressing with tzatziki and the garlic and the cucumbers that are in there. It's pretty fantastic. We're going to spruce this up a little bit. We're going to add some crushed red pepper flakes for a little bit of heat, a little bit of flavor. Once again, sorry my hand is in the way, but you can see I just added a little bit, like maybe half a teaspoon of that. We're going to go very heavy on the pepper. I love a very coarse ground pepper. I like biting into those chunks of peppercorn. So go ahead and douse it up real nicely with black pepper if you like that kind of stuff. You will not be wrong for doing that. I did actually end up peppering it a little bit more later on just because I really like pepper. To go with that, we're going to add some freeze-dried chives. And the chives are, there to add a little bit extra oniony flavor, a little bit of green color, kind of goes nicely with everything, and it's going to rehydrate within the mixture. Little bit of onion powder to enhance some extra flavors. I, of course, cannot go wrong with onion or garlic powder, for that matter. Garlic powder, the tzatziki sauce already does have garlic in it. We're going to add just a nice dusting more so of garlic powder because I really do like nice garlicky flavors. Get that all mixed up, and you're going to be left with a really, really good pasta base that is creamy, not exceptionally unhealthy in any form or fashion either, which is kind of what we're trying to go for this episode. Giving it a little taste test, tastes fantastic, and we're going to be getting this pasta into some boiling water for the required amount of time. To inspire more Greek flavors in this, though, which is what we're shooting for, we're going to start with about a half a cup of the Kalamata olives. I personally prefer the Great Value Walmart brand because they are far less bitter than even the name brands, and I'm not really sure why, but add those in there. I also have about a quarter of a yellow onion here because I really love biting into some crunchy raw onion when I'm eating certain things, and this one is no exception to that rule. And of course, can't go wrong with some real nice chunked up feta cheese. I really like this stuff this particular brand, the Athenos brand, because it actually has some very, very wide chunks of cheese, and it works really well with the pasta salad. So our pasta's cooked. Definitely less cook time than they recommend. They recommend like 12 minutes plus like another 1 to 2 just to make it more tender. However, that yields some very, very soft pasta, and I'm not all about that life. So the pasta's been drained at about 10 minutes cook time, and I've oiled it slightly. We're going to get that tossed in there with whatever pepper flakes that were already in the bag. We'll try to get everything out if we can. And we already added red pepper flakes, so really no loss if we don't have that. And get all this mixed up. What you really end up with is a wonderful, clingy, like creamy sauce that is, and once again, not exactly unhealthy. There is a good bit of oil in this and stuff, but so many pasta dishes do. And we're trying to make something that really pack-a-punches some flavors, and you get a lot of really just general health benefits, and it's a good meal you can eat. I personally love this particular dish cold. So you're left with nice olives, a nice creamy mixture all over. We're going to give this a little bite. And I will tell you, the bite I had did have a couple of the smaller pieces of onions. It's just such a flavor pack-a-punch. But, of course, any dish particularly like this needs a little something extra. And that's what we're going to be getting into here next. Oh, and I whacked the camera with my elbow. My apologies. But I'm going to pepper this again. I think I ended up peppering it one more time because my pepper grinder seems to have trouble getting those peppercorns to fall down into the actual grinder. Not entirely sure why. Be as generous as you want with your seasonings depending on what flavors you are looking for. So, but to add an even healthier aspect and some protein to this, along with all the major flavor profiles that we now have in here, it's good enough on its own. We're going to look at some salmon. And I love this dish. I have made it several times. This is the first time making it with a tzatziki sauce. So what I have here is just from Walmart, a vacuum sealed, wild caught sockeye salmon fillet. And we're going to be broiling this in the oven. And I will say, when cutting this open, the sockeye salmon wild caught does have a much more fishy particular smell, which is not really a bother to me. I certainly like fish. You can go ahead and double check for scales at this point if you were looking to leave the skin on for the part where you would be eating it. I'm going to later on probably going to peel the skin off. But what we are left with is just a beautiful red piece of fish. And this is going to be nicely oiled, and it's going to have some fresh herbs on it. And we're going to do some, I don't know what all that water was. I think it was from my sink. My apologies. We're going to oil it, get some lemon juice on there. We're going to get some fresh dill. We're going to get anything that you need on there to make this whatever kind of salmon that you like. You can do butter. You can do what other herbs you like. You can go heavier on the citrus. And that's pretty much particularly your flavor profiles that you're trying to get to. I went for real basic. It was going to be lemon juice, fresh dill, and one lemon. I cut half of it, sprinkled it over top with the half a lemon, maybe a little bit more of the other one. And yep, we're going to use dill, of course, the lemon, and it's a very, very simple fish dish. Salmon to me is its own super really good flavor profiles, but here it is. It's oiled, it's got dill, it's got lemon, it's got pepper and salt on it. I really don't think salmon needs a whole lot more than this. So what we're going to do is we're going to tuck this up nicely in some heavy duty foil, and I like to try to leave a little like vent hole near the thickest part of the fish so that you have something to stick your temperature gauge in there without really disturbing the wrapping of the fish in general. That's what that's going to be. That's our temperature hole right there, our temperature check. This will be going into the oven at a 400 degrees for an unknown length of time. And we're going to be starting, of course, the leftover dill. That'll go back into the pasta salad in particular, so you get fresh herbs. So 400 degrees. And I really don't know how long this is going to take. We're shooting for 145. On my first initial check, it only hit about 111, I believe. It wasn't quite there. We needed a little more time on this. So in total, I didn't record all of it, but in total, it took about 30 minutes to hit the comfortable temperature mark that we were looking for. And this was going to go back in. Of course, pulled it out. Double check. I think checking fish more often is better than not. Sorry, you can't see the thermometer quite well right now. I think I turn it eventually so you can see it a little bit better, hopefully. I stuck it there, then I rechecked it in another spot, and we hit a wonderful 146, just past the mark, and that yielded a delicious, amazing fillet of salmon. So I wrapped this back up for about 10 or 15 minutes, kind of let it cool down just a little bit. And at the end of it, I did end up peeling the skin off the bottom. Came right off with a spatula. What you're left with is just a ridiculously flavorful salmon and pasta dish that has lots of Greek flavors in there. It's so good. Relatively healthy for you.